getting started here. Price is pretty inefficient this morning, and the opening is just around the corner, but we've been trading higher since last night. 8:30 news or data, which was GDP final, unemployment claims. Those were red. Core goods and final GDP were orange. And at 10 o'clock, we have some orange folder news, which is the pending home sales. So a little bit of a landmine with this pretty inefficient price delivery that we've been seeing here. So we're looking to see if we get the first presented fair value gap. Pretty weak opening. Not necessarily weak, but uneventful. So no movement. Just gonna look at the 5-second to see if it's the same. So yeah, 5-second. A lot of back and forth here as well. Yep. Nothing going on. So we'll just stick with the 5 for now. Once we see the first presented fair value gap forming, we'll drop down to the 1 over here and get that on the chart. Actually do need to update the opening range gap here. So that's updated now. Got a pretty solid opening range gap. It's I think it's about 80 handles, so not massive but big enough. See if we retrace to this midpoint here. I'm not really interested in taking that trade based off of what we're seeing here in price action. Still not too much going on. Would make sense for price to want to run now. to this here. We've got this fair value gap from the pre-market. Bodies are respecting the midpoint. I think they're maybe going through the lowest part of it. Let's grade it. Let's get a look, visual representation there. $570, 725. Yeah, so bodies have respected the midpoint of it. So it does seem price wants to draw at least for this opening range gap midpoint, but I don't necessarily trust it because looking at the 1 minute, order blocks aren't really being respected. So we had this one here, we traded right through it almost immediately after closing below it, and we have this one here, but this is a pretty large down close candle, so the next one could come right through here and just wick higher. So although I think this is at least the immediate draw, I'm not willing to take it in this price action because I could take that position and get absolutely smoked and then have it still go to where I believed it was going. So we may be getting the first presented fair value gap here. Okay, looks like we've got our first presented fair value gap. And that right there is absolutely why I didn't want to take that entry. We came down and immediately whipped back up. So much about this is concerning. It's kind of hard to get a true read because we have been in a buy program. We've been in a higher for longer program. I want to say since April. But we haven't taken sell side liquidity in a while. And on top of that, we just took the previous session's sell side liquidity right here. But we didn't take the buy side liquidity. So it's just a tough read because if we were going higher, I'd want to see us take this out. Or we could go lower and then start to go higher. But we haven't taken out sell side liquidity in a while. Yesterday we kind of hung out, didn't take out this sell side liquidity down here. Um, so there's quite a bit that can actually, that I believe should be taken before resuming higher. Doesn't always have to happen, but because we haven't yet taken that out, I'm not super comfortable getting behind the idea of continuing higher right now. But at the same time, we didn't take this out before moving lower. So um, it's hard to get behind the idea that we're just going to continue drawing lower right now. I think we could be range bound. In order to go lower for a sustained run, I would like to see at least this get taken out here, but I'd like to see this be taken out. So I guess I'm gonna wait for that. I think obviously if else something super trustworthy appears, like I'll take that. But for right now, I think I'd want to see this get taken out before heading lower. And to make things even more complicated, right here, we took out the previous day's high, which is kind of grounds for moving lower. So it's just kind of a tough environment right now to get a great read on. Come back up to the 5. Looks like we're going to go into a bit of divergence. So NQ is the leader to the sell side at the moment. YM is the leader to the buy side. What's been happening is NQ has been the leader to the buy side, and these two here have been laggards, and this has been the leader to the sell side. So that's totally flipped this morning. Now, interesting enough, on the 1 minute, this price doesn't look like we're in price discovery. It looks like it's being manipulated, which means higher likelihood of getting stopped out if we took an entry, even if we're on the right side of the trade. So although this looks like slow and not really volatile, it's still a pretty sketchy delivery, sketchy environment to be in. And we've got the 950 macro coming at in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And that's just before the 10 o'clock data of the pending home sales, which is orange folder event. I guess my thoughts are, or what I would anticipate, is that data driving us through here, maybe even screaming higher for a bit, and then creating some sort of PD array to draw us lower into this area here, ultimately. We did take this sell side, so could be off on that, but that's what I would anticipate happening. I do anticipate price eventually coming down here, and you can see that swing right there, that was pretty manipulated. So even though we could continue lower, I just don't trust it. I don't want to trade in manipulated price action. But if this does continue moving lower right now, I think what becomes most likely, so like we had this swing right here. If we continue lower instead of chopping sideways, I think what most likely is happening is we're front running the report on the delivery. And once that was released, what would happen is we'd likely continue drawing down and then eventually get into here. But that was a pretty manipulated move, so don't necessarily trust that. I would like to see what I mentioned before, which is taking out this swing high and then going lower to take this out. And we are in a buy program right now, so I'm not thinking we take that out and like this is the top of the market for now. I just think that's the best area or closest area of relatively high liquidity that we need to target. Yeah, so it looks like we may be front running this report, which is fine. Um, I'm not taking the entry. I just do not want to trade ahead of data. We haven't gotten any displacement either. We've just gotten those pretty heavily manipulated candles. So they look big, and then we wick, and the body's smaller. Let's grade this. Candle's almost closed, so I want to grade this. And that could actually be perfect for a 950 macro to start delivering lower. Still would love to see it take out that buy side liquidity first, but we don't necessarily need to. So now that we pretty much closed below this order block, I do want to see what happens. We got the 950 macro right here. So price should speed up. Doesn't mean it's going to speed lower, but price should speed up over the next, or for the next 20 minutes. And in between that 20 minutes is the 10 o'clock data. So still looking a bit manipulated. So still eventually looking for price to get down here. 390 area. Let's see what this is. Today's new day opening gap. So another 7.5 minutes until the data is released. If we didn't have this data today, I would have been in this after price closing. Like after getting this order block here, I would have been in this, but data can always disrupt things. So not getting in front of a moving bus. Actually, it's more of a moving train. Take a look and see if there's a fair value gap that we traded into. I don't think so. Nope, we didn't trade into one. Take a look at the 15-second trade through this volume imbalance on the 15-second. I didn't even realize we just invalidated this order block here, so pull that off. Pretty heavily manipulated price action. It's not really price discovery. When price is trying to hang out and seek PD arrays, or even when price is just in more of a holding pattern, which is called time distortion. So in this instance, waiting for the report to come out before releasing. It doesn't necessarily trade this way. It would still trade fairly smoothly, and you can see as these ticks are moving, it's pretty robotic. So got some hands in this, manipulating it. Let's see. We're on the first percentage fair value gap now. I'll move up to the 1. Well, not move down to the 1, but we want to see how the midpoint of this gets treated on the 1. But more importantly, the top of it. I want to move this over as well. Minutes remain. Pretty weird that we're inside of this. Pretty random that we're inside of this fair value gap right as the data is going to be released. Look at this. All 3 indices in sync now, just before the data release. Weird. Okay, not weird, being facetious, but I'll come down to the 5 for this. Because we have the 1 over here, so we can stay on the 5. We could be front running, honestly. We took this out, but I don't know. 30 seconds. See if price runs us through there. Through these highs. Or this high, not these highs. Weird. Hit the very top of this here, 570. 570 is the current high. So that's algorithmic, which is good. I just want to see something. So we should still rip through higher. Got nice relative equal highs here on the 5 second. Order block here on the 1. Bullish order block on the 1. So let's see if this candle here starts the run to take us through this here. It's about 30 candles. Good close. We should see speed now. Grade this to see if this is at the midpoint. This might be a propulsion block to push price higher. So 161.25. Open 561.25. Alright, let's see. Close 554.50. Yeah, that's pretty good. That should push us through. See a pretty large candle here. Gonna zoom out, give it some space to run. So we might be running into some inefficient delivery here. Yep, we are running into inefficient delivery. This candle here will probably run straight up. And if it does, I mean, yeah, we're still heading for that swing high, but this just turned into inefficient delivery. So this current candle heading straight up is something that we wouldn't really see if we have precision delivery, but we just lost that. And that is one of those things that happens um, in trading. And one of those things that happens with losses, like you'll be in this candle will probably go straight up. You'll be in pretty good, efficient delivery, and then out of nowhere it breaks into inefficient delivery, and then it's just pretty terrible for a while. But it'll oftentimes happen just after you get a PD array that appears that should continue on in the efficient delivery. And then it just breaks it. And you get stopped out, and then you're out of the position, but price ends up still going toward that drawn liquidity that it was heading for. So normally this candle here would head down. I don't think that's going to happen. I think because we got this little bit of inefficient delivery here, what's going to happen is this candle will just be the next one to head up, and then we'll start to continue on that delivery to take out these relative equal highs right here. I think we're hanging out at the previous day's high. Yep. So this delivery is it's kind of a warning sign that although we're seeking a certain side of liquidity, it's a pseudo move. Not just inefficient, but now looks manipulated. So this is pretty ugly, but I do still anticipate this going to take out those swing highs, um, or those relative equal highs. Swing high on the 15, but relative equal highs on the 1 minute. I do anticipate we'll still go and take that out, but it's just going to be a gnarly delivery. So I'm hands off. And again, I want to reiterate we are in a pretty strong buy program, which means higher for longer. But the way price is trading is showing that it's a pseudo move, so we're seeking liquidity on one side to go take out the other, being seeking buy side liquidity to go take out the sell side before continuing on higher. That's just what I'm reading. Jump back up to the 5. Yeah, on the 5 this is not clean, but we have an order block here. Bullish order block on the 5. 15 is nasty, but 15 is also showing bullishness. Trade through this fair value gap, or visited this fair value gap, visited this one here as well. So we're seeing some dissonance between them. And normally I'd like to see this wick get taken, but I don't think that's going to be the case because of the delivery that we're seeing here. I think we just continue higher at a really ugly pace. Okay, just taking notes. So we're still seeking that buy side delivery. Um, seeking that buy side liquidity. Although this delivery is pretty gnarly, we're still seeking it. Um, Again, this delivery, the manipulation, I believe, has a lot to do with the fact that we want to take this out right now, but this isn't necessarily the immediate, or not immediate, because it is immediate. It's not really the liquidity target for this session. We just have to take that liquidity out before seeking further liquidity on the other side. As always, could be wrong, but we have to see how price reacts once we get there. No random news events this afternoon. Got natural gas storage at 10:30, but yellow folder, so not super important. I know some people are probably like, Chris, if it's going for buy side liquidity, why aren't you winning? Because this is terrible delivery, and also, well, mostly that, but also, I believe we're going for this. And there's this too, but this, that's why. The rest is still water. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. And maybe running down just to watch what I got. Hold up, check it out. So still just waiting on it to get up there. Painful delivery. So I think we'll actually start to see the speed pick up here. Briefly, I don't think it's gonna hold. Like I don't think it's gonna get back into efficient delivery right now. But I think we might see a little bit of speed. Not so much displacement, but all right. So watch the 1 minute here. All three indices are in sync, which is awesome. If this candle closes down, really not that big of a deal in terms of it still getting here. The way that price is being drawn, it's just pretty evident that that's what we are going for. So that's the data high that we just took. Still seeking this, but we at least took the data high. So there we go. Rip through. We want to see what we do from here. So we just took the London session high. I want to see if we continue higher because we did take the London session low first, right? But now we took this high. So we want to see how we trade here now. Again, I am anticipating that we want to sweep this to go higher, but we don't need to. That's just what I'm anticipating. Just due to the nature of the delivery of price the past few days. So let's take a look at the 15-minute. Let's take a look at the hour. Not sure why I'm on the one. It's not really telling us much today. So let's see if price opens up a bit here and actually becomes efficient, smoother. We got the 1050 macro in 15 minutes, so see what that brings us also. This could continue running higher for a bit. If it does, it's not going to be efficient. It's going to continue to be the way it was. But gotta watch it, see what happens. So we now have a little bit of divergence, not necessarily SMT divergence, but YM is leading the show. ES is behind, and NQ is really lagging. We'll see what we get in price here. I'm still seeking that 22,390 level, but I want to see if we use the first presented fair value gap. So I'm more than willing to wait for price to trade down 50, 60 handles before entering anything. And that makes a lot of sense, especially considering the way this is delivering here. Like, it's not efficient. It's being dragged. So I could see something that looks like a reversal here, or just like we're heading for sell side, and it could absolutely just chop me up. Not sure what that's all about. but also at the moment it's in a buy program, so we don't necessarily want to short it until we have a pretty good understanding or a pretty good idea that it's delivering for sell side. So that's why I'm more than willing to wait for price to key off of this first presented fair value gap before taking a short. And like, yeah, I would love to take a long, but I still think we need to at least get rid of these down here. We may not need to, but I don't trust this delivery. Might just cut this video short. Um, because we already took out the sell side. I mean the buy side that price was seeking. If price doesn't start to make a move, it could move in either direction, honestly. If it doesn't start to move, I'm just gonna close it up and leave it where it is. So if I do that, just in case, as always, good luck, good trading, be safe. And we're starting to see that divergence open up a little bit more. So NQ is starting to lag a little more heavily than it was. Let's take a look at it on the 1. On the 3 minute, that's probably, oh no, it's not there. On the 3, 4, 2. I'm not even using these time frames. I'm just looking. Okay, let's back to the 5. Let's just throw this on there in case it's an order block. I don't think it is. It's ugly, but we're just gonna put it here just in case. 572.75. I don't know. I think price is just gonna blow back through the midpoint, but I'm putting it here just in case. So yeah, price is gonna blow through that. Probably a pretty strong wick through it also. Let's see. It's pretty heavily manipulated already, so that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, see, pretty strong wick there. Yeah, that divergence is pretty strong. YM is still up there, and ES and NQ are starting to come back a bit. Huh, that's interesting. This might be the Venom model. I don't know. I'm not taking it, but this could be a Venom model entry. If anybody uses that, let me know after watching this video. But it does look like it could be a Venom entry. Inject the Venom, pull out. So we'll see. But that divergence is building. So you can see that as ES and NQ are coming down in percentage gain, YM is holding steady exactly where it's been. And again, don't necessarily expect this order block to be respected. I don't think it's going to hold as an order block, especially considering this is counter trend. This is counter to the higher time frame buy side delivery. But we'll see. Again, looking to see if we can get to this first presented fair value gap. I'd like to key off of that. manipulation a long way. Oh boy, it's just boring. Might have to make this a two-parter. Well, 1050. So, might get a macro. Honestly, it could make sense for the macro to run higher. I don't know where the macro is going to take us. Because they're in a precarious spot. Literally, like, right in the middle of the swing high and the swing low that we just created since 1030. This is killer. This is such poor price delivery. Still waiting for any sort of break in the monotony. Um, but again, waiting for the first presented fair value gap before taking anything. Hanging out until then. So we're seeing some more follow through from YM to the upside. NQ and ES are still lagging, but like it's still about relatively the same amount of lag. Um, Terrible price action. Like I wouldn't put $1 in this, but I don't know. It looks like it's grinding higher at the moment. Obviously, don't know um, when or if it'll turn around because it may not. But I still want to see if we revisit that first presented fair value gap because we've taken this out. And also, we've taken both sides. So we took this side first, then we took this side. Would make sense to want to go longer on the sell side. But doesn't always make sense because sometimes we will do this for days or weeks and build liquidity below. So I might close up this video for the morning. Um, and put out a follow up in the afternoon. But just pretty ugly, grinding higher, um, with no efficiency, like no, yeah, just grinding higher. It's gross. So might have to close this up and just reopen or record the afternoon or whenever we um, come back down here if we do today. But as always, good luck, good trading, be safe.